filming vlogs and filming shorts and filming other videos that I'm uploading here on YouTube, it's a learning curve, and I'm okay with that, but it does slow me down a bit. And I think about the technical issues that I've been having, and I think about the content things that I need to address. And the interesting thing is they are all connected. So one thing affects the other, vice versa, and other things that happen in between. So it's just a matter of getting myself into a regular schedule, I think, but more importantly, just overcoming the obstacles. Number one, I edit on Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro has taken me a while to learn, but I'm really, really enjoying it. I love the editing process a lot, and I can find myself working on editing too much. I think, when I film a longer video, such as a vlog, if it's a 40-minute vlog, it can take me a couple of days to edit. I've been also shooting shorts and uploading those to YouTube, and those have been a lot of fun, and I'm happy that I'm able to get them done quickly and upload it, because I think it's just fun, consumable content, and hopefully you'll enjoy them too. So the Premiere Pro process is, like I said, it's a learning curve, but I enjoy it a lot. I'm coming across issues with sound. I've had some microphone issues, so now I'm in the search of getting a new microphone. I think I know what I'm going to get, but I'm going to wait because I'm going to keep trying to edit around this microphone that I have now. We'll see how that goes. But you'll see that I have inconsistent sound issues in a lot of my videos, and I'm well aware of it, but I'm doing the best I can right now. The other thing too is with content, you think about, if I want to upload a vlog that has a lot of good information, well, that's a longer video and it's a longer editing process. And so here I am in that same situation right now, because I really want to share with you a lot of different things, but I know it's going to be some time to get this all edited and pieced together. But I would like to shoot more B-roll, but it seems at this point I'm just shooting content to share off the list of things that I have when I want to share all these things that I want to share with you. So I'm just trying to find my balance here, but it's a lot of fun. I'm going to keep going, and I'm happy to say that since January 21st, I've uploaded 21 videos. I think the shorts are certainly fun and easy to do, but I like the content in the vlogs, and I want to share other videos of process, product, design. So I'm just plugging away here. So thanks for being patient with me. And if you see or hear the technical glitches, just know that I'm doing the best I can. Although there was this one glitch that I put in on purpose, and you'll have to go to Studio Vlog 07 at the very beginning to see what I'm talking about. That was a lot of fun, and it was a process that I learned in Premiere Pro, and it was a lot of fun. It's the very beginning of the video, so let me know if you guys watch it and what you think. Okay, so today's vlog, I have a lot of things to cover. I went to New York a couple weeks ago, my husband and I did. I want to share a few things that I purchased there. I'm not really going to share my trip. It wasn't really, it was interesting. It was a lot of fun, but I don't know that I'm there yet filming and sharing my outdoor adventures or my traveling adventures with you yet. I'm still trying to process this whole thing of shooting just studio content, uploading it and sharing it with you. So that's not where I am yet, but I am going to share with you some products that I bought. And I will say I ate at only vegan restaurants the whole time I was there. They have a huge, not huge, but they have a lot of a selection for vegan options and just vegan restaurants in general. So I'm very happy about that. And my husband was impressed too. He's not a vegan, but he was impressed. I also want to share with you my video logbook, a little book that I've been keeping to keep track of my videos. I want to share with you a pattern design that I quickly made that we'll see how it turns out. and hopefully I can get it uploaded and put on a journal similar to my video logbook. And I want to share with you a little entry I put in my Cambridge Art Journal, which I have been wanting to do a lot in, but I haven't. I don't know why. I'm going to share this with you. So I got a little entry in here. I might, if I have time, I might upload another one, but I think this video is going to be long enough. A few other technical issues I've been having is I've realized, even though I have my camera on a boom arm mounted on the wall away from my desk is moving. So whenever I'm working on it, it moves, and you can see it in videos. So I'm working on getting that fixed. It's an IKEA desk, it's a hollow core desk. It's pretty, it's big, I like it, but it's very unsturdy. And so I have to work on finding the right table. I'm not going to rush into that because in the meantime I have my map chest behind me, which is pretty solid, and I've ordered a canvas lamp that I'm going to use for filming over there when I have real heavy duty stamping or printing activity that would otherwise shake my desk table. So more on that as it develops, but just random things that I keep learning and understanding along the way that I need to adjust or fix, and that's one of them. So in my last vlog, Studio Vlog 10, I carved a new Studio Vlog stamp. Now, this is considered hand lettering. It is a process carving stamps, and hand lettering is huge. I think it always has been, but in the world of hand lettering, I don't let myself get consumed with perfection. And you can see this in this stamp that I carved because it is actually not center. And I realized that before I carved it, and I left it that way, because if I would have tried to center the words directly inside of the box, I know I would have gone down that road of perfection. I know that I would have made it look almost too good. And I really and truly just wanted that natural, organic feel of how I sketched it out, transferred it, and carved it. And I just left it. So if you're one of those people that off-center part of the wording is a little bit off from the border around the lettering, that's who I am. That's who I am. Everything's always a little bit wonk or a little bit crooked. And speaking of crooked, when I was in New York, I was in the hotel room one day, and I turned on the TV and I dialed up YouTube, and I thought, I'm gonna go to my channel and just watch some of my videos. And I was watching Hand Carved Stamps Made Simple, which is where I share with you how to get the basics of carving stamps. And at the very end of the video, I have hashtag that I listed, Hand Carved Stamps Made Simple, and then I have my name on another text block underneath, and it's crooked. It is crooked. I never noticed that until then. And I'm thinking therein lies the problem of doing a really long video, and by the time you're done editing it, sometimes you miss those things because there's so many little details. And that's what I did. But you know what? I have to laugh about it because everything I do is a little bit wonk. Not everything, but I've decided it's part of my style, and I'm gonna live with that. Okay, so when I was in New York, I went to a place called the Fountain Pen Hospital, and I was hoping to get help with a fountain pen that I was given as a gift many years ago, and I love it. It's a Waterman French fountain pen. It's lovely, but I destroyed it. Yes, I broke it. And I was hoping that they could help me, and they tried, but we didn't have the perfect solution. But I did end up buying another fountain pen and some beautiful ink that I want to share with you. Okay, so this is the pen that I bought in New York City. This is a Pilot MR collection, and I think I paid like $35 for it. And it's a fountain pen, and I want to start using fountain pens more. And I'm using the refillable cartridge, and they make it super easy because you just squeeze this little barrel, stick it in your ink, and then suck up the ink into your nib or into the chamber. And this is a medium nib, and I love it. So I put this beautiful pale lavender ink called Petite Robinière, no, Little Robinia, and it's this lovely lavender ink by Ferris Wheel Press. So this ink is gorgeous, and I love the bottle. I love the box. It comes in a little pouch, and first of all, I have a thing for round boxes. I love round boxes. And the ink is just so lovely, and when I bought it, the gentleman at the store said this is a really good ink, and then I found out that they are vegan friendly, which is always a plus. They're a Canadian company, and they have just such gorgeous inks. They have a beautiful feed on Instagram, so definitely check them out and check out their inks. And this is particularly fountain pen ink, but you could use it with a dip pen, and you could use it maybe to draw with or paint with. I would not dip your ink or I would not dip your brush or anything into the bottle. Find some kind of container that you can use to separate your ink, because you don't want to contaminate your whole bottle of ink because you want it to last. So I got this cutie pie at Fish's Eddy in Union Square, and if you don't know Fish's Eddy, well, I'll leave a link for that below too. One of the great stores in New York City. One last thing I wanted to share with you that I learned is about how to put the lid on a fountain pen. So many people do this. Well, let me show you. I'll use this little flare pen. So many people, when you're done with a pen, and I do this too, you go out and you just slam the pen into the cap. You don't think anything about it. Boom. And that can damage your pen. So what I learned from this gentleman at the Fountain Pen Hospital in New York is that you put the cap on the pen. You don't put the pen into the cap. So when you do that, you're very conscious, you're more aware of what you're doing, and you're not going to damage the nib or the chamber. And this is a lighter piece than this one, so you're obviously not going to have as much force or damage. And it's just something to consider if you want to take care of your pens. Also, I have to make sure that, because I use a lot of mixed media with my pens, such as drawing on painted surfaces, such as traditional gouache, I have to make sure to keep my nib clean, and I'm going to do my best and stay committed to keeping this pen clean and well taken care of, because I learned my lesson the hard way. So just a word of advice to take care of your beautiful writing and drawing implements, because they can last a long time if you do. And yes, I have a thing for purple. No apologies. Here is the collection of supplies that I took with me to New York City. And I tried to keep it very simple. I know it looks like a lot, but those who travel with art supplies, they get it. So first off, I have my pen bag, which I keep a lot of stuff in here. Let's take this out. I thought I was going to use this for paint pots because I have so many of these, but I don't know. Didn't use it. Don't know if I'm going to be using it. So I have in here a little sketchbook that I've had. I just kind of carry it around with me. Sometimes I carry this in my purse. I have a little thing of Viviva watercolor sheets that are almost on their last leg, but they're so super convenient to, that was a room key that never got returned. What was I saying? Oh, so they're super convenient, and I love them, but I don't use them very often, but they're great for traveling. I keep a glue stick in here. I keep my pencils. A couple of pencils I'll take. I take a lot of Posca pens. I don't know why I had to take 2 black wings, but I did. A lot of Posca pens, a mechanical pencil that I always keep in here, pencil sharpener, and kneaded erasers, a little thing of washi tape, a couple of different water brushes, and some gel pens, a clip or 2, some other pens, an easy gel pen for clicking and writing, click and write, a pipette, whatever they call them, just because you don't ever know. You just don't ever know, and they're kind of convenient to have. And a little tiny water mister in case I need to use that for lots of different reasons, and some other pens. So it's good to have. There was extra space in here. I know I ended up putting other things in here too, but it works really well. This I got from a suitcase collection years ago from Samsonite, and it's plastic. It's hideous to look at, I know, but I can see things through here. And the thing is, it is really, really, really held up. I know I've had this for at least 15 years, maybe longer, but not even the edges or anything have started to crack. So this is really good quality plastic. You know, it's plastic, but you know, we're doing what we can with consuming plastic. Hopefully we're doing what we can. And it's really beat up, but it's been through a lot, but it hasn't cracked or broken or come apart. It's really a remarkable bag. So Samsonite, keep making these. If you aren't, go back to making them. All right, so I brought 3 different books. One was for my video production, and this is my video vlog, that's not what I meant to say, video log book, where I keep all, I'll do a little quick video of this later, where I keep all of my notes about each individual video that I produce and the notes that are important and relevant to it. So I keep that. I kept it with me because I knew I was going to be producing some videos in New York because I had a bunch of stuff that I'd already filmed. And I did produce some videos in New York, so yay me. This is one of my favorite little notebooks. I use it for notes and sketches and all kinds of stuff. And I just love it. It's by Papaya Art. If you guys don't know them, you should. I will leave a link in the description. Papaya Art, just one of the best. And each page is what I love about this. Each page is different. Some are grids, some are lines, some are just little elements. And I love working in it. I'll probably show more of this once it gets filled because it's turned out to be a really terrific sketchbook. I just love it. Okay, this is just another mixed media sketchbook that I took. I've decorated the cover, but I think it's a Canson XL mixed media. And I brought some extra sheets of tracing paper for if I was going to carve stamps, and I'll show you. I did bring some rubber material, a few black sheets in case I got inspired with my Posca pens. And so this is just a mixed media journal that I brought that I have different things in, and I just wanted to have something to work with. I didn't want to bring a bunch of watercolor paper or anything because I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but this keeps it all nice and confined, and it worked really well. Did I use it? I did not, but it was good to have. So, you know how that goes. And then this is a little Space Maker box, which these are the best little boxes, and they hold up really well. This too is a good quality plastic. You know, if you're going to use plastic, make sure it's going to last. Plastic that just breaks down and falls apart, it doesn't serve us. But I won't get into that right now. But it's a great little box, and I've used these in this size, and I've used a larger one that I used to keep a whole bunch of watercolor crayons in and some other pens, and that used to be something that I would travel with when my kids were younger, so I'd keep everything in this one box. But for this trip, I only took a little bit. So I took a little bit of rubber material because I was hoping to carve, and I brought a little tiny X-Acto knife and a number 1 V-shaped blade that I kind of put a cork on here to keep myself from injuring myself or anything else in the box. I brought a little stack of 4x6 blank index cards, which are my all-time favorite things to just use on my desk to have for notes, designs, ideas, a gazillion different ways I use these things. So I brought a stack of these, and I brought a little stack of watercolor sheets, and I've been wanting to play with these a little bit. So I just had them on hand because they fit nicely with my little setup here. I brought 5 little ink pads, and these are the Memento dye-based ink pads. And I was hoping to carve some stamps and maybe do some floral type designs in my sketchbook. Never happened, but at least I had everything ready. And then I brought a little towel. I brought a swatch of all of the watercolor crayons I brought. I just grabbed a collection. I was hoping to do some landscape sketching and painting, and I brought a tube of white gouache. I never got around to using it, but I did swatch out all of my colors so I knew what I had, and it all fit in here really nicely, and that's what I took. I'd like to say I used it. I didn't, but it's better to take it and not use it than not take it and then wish you had brought your materials, because inevitably what happens is I end up going to buy more supplies that I don't need. So that's what I took to New York, and it all packed together nicely and not too bad, right? Yeah. So this notebook here, I have these for sale in my Amazon shop, and there's a link in the description below, but that's not why I'm telling you. I'm showing you this because it's my little video log of the videos that I've uploaded and pertinent information about them that I want to keep track of. But the most fun is when I'm finished with each video, I get to stamp a completed stamp. And I'm going to do that to these several videos that I finished last week that I didn't get to stamp completed in. So I'm going to do that now. I've been trying to figure out what it is about this design that I love so much, or why I love it so much, because it's pretty simple, but I think I figured out the reason it appeals to me is the concept here is clearly three lines, 3 different lines within the rectangle, but clearly they're not all going in the same direction in sets of 3s, and there's 3 of them. But also in the middle one, I think what makes it really interesting is this one comes directly off the stamp. You can see that here. It did not, or comes off the edge of the stamp. It does not stay within the parameters of the rectangle. And I think that just makes it much more interesting. And I think that's what's been drawing me to this design. It just gives you a moment to want to look at it again and say, what's going on here? And then too, when you stamp it and it's not precisely lined up, because it doesn't have to be a pattern that's lined up to be a good pattern. That's for sure. So these are my palettes of gouache. They're traditional gouache, artist designer's gouache. So they are rehydratable, and it's easy, it's affordable because everything gets used. So it's not a paint that gets wasted. And it looks really sad when it dries out, but it comes back. It's quite remarkable. So right now I'm in the process of rehydrating several colors, several hues that I'm going to use in my design that I want to work on. And the colors I'm using, let's see, let's put this down. The colors I'm using are this pale aqua teal, this rich olive green. I'm going to use a gray, and I'm going to use a real pretty citrine color. And then I'm going to stamp on them. And I've decided to use 3 different inks. And those inks I will show you in a minute. But it's going to look pretty much like this. So I'm going to paint the stripes and let them dry. And then I'm going to come back and stamp on top of it to make this design. I think it's going to be really cool. But in the meantime, I have to rehydrate my paints. And the colors that I'm going to use, I have to make sure that I have enough and that it's not too watery. So I'm just sort of bringing it back to life here. And, you know, certainly if I add too much water, I can let it dry out and it will come back more to the consistency that I want, which is like a maple syrup. Yeah, maple syrup. So I still have some of this kind of stuck to the bottom of the pan, and I'm just going to give it a little bit more time, and I'm going to show you some of these other colors. Like this here is my, let's see if I can get a really good shot of it for you. I don't know if you can see that. There you go, maybe a little bit. You can see it a little bit. So the majority of this is kind of softened and watered down to the right consistency, but there are some big parts of it off to the side that I haven't incorporated into this. You can break off little bits of it to kind of stir around in there, and that helps rehydrate it quicker. Activation, you know, motion, mechanics of stirring helps. I do know that this is all mixed to be a consistent color, so I'm not worried about that. I think this will be enough for me to use. If I was, you know, more prepared, I probably would make sure I would hydrate a little bit more so I'd have a little bit more paint to play with. And I think I'll do that. I'll give it a little bit more time and just work on the colors that I know I'm going to use and make sure that they're the right consistency. I'm going to come back to that. I also have my gray here, and I like to use, when I'm mixing paints, old beat up paint brushes, because, you know, there's nothing more fun. Here, let me do this the right way. Let's move that out of the way, and we'll put this down. This is the gray I'm using. And, you know, it's just natural instinct to want to mix your paints with your paint brushes. So just go ahead and do it. But use your crappy paint brushes, you know, the ones that don't really have much of a point anymore. Those are always some of the best anyway. But it's just a perfect excuse to mix your paint with your paintbrush. So this gray is looking pretty good as far as consistency goes. So I'm okay with that one. I'm going to give it a few good stirs, and then I'm going to go on to that citrine color right here that was looking pretty sad earlier, but that green was looking really sad earlier, but I gave it a little bit of water. Another advantage of traditional or artist gouache, designer's gouache, is that, you know, like with, this is terrible, I know, but like with watercolor, if it dries on your brush, it's not going to ruin your brush. So, you know, to some of us that matters because, you know, it's just the way we are sometimes. We can't all be perfectly neat, and we're not supposed to be. Yeah, so this is really looking sad. I got to give this a stir because it's just not looking good. Here, I'll use the back of this. Kind of gross looking. I don't use this paint color very much, and there is a dog hair in there, little fiber, but that's okay, you know, I can come back to it. And there's another fiber. I keep these in a drawer. I don't keep them sitting out on my desk or on a counter or a table in my studio because they're just going to collect more dust and dirt and lint. But I keep them in a drawer uncovered, and that does a good enough job. I'm just going to leave that for now, but I just had to do that. Perfect example of how things end up on this table. Okay, so I'm going to give this another stir. I think this needs to come to life more too, so I'm going to keep working on this one. It's a little grainy, and I want to give it a chance to smooth out. Okay, so I'm ready to start painting. I'm pretty sure my paints are where I want them to be, so let me move one of my palettes out of the way. I mean, this is so indicative of how I work. You would think that on a paint palette that your colors would be next to each other, would be analogous, but clearly not in my world because I have bright red right next to pale turquoise. So there you go. That's what you get. So I'm going to paint on this watercolor paper, and it has a little bit of a texture to it. Even though I'm going to stamp on it, I usually like to always stamp on watercolor paper that's hot press. I think this is hot press, but it still has a little tiny texture, and that's okay. All right, so I'm going to start with the gray, and I'm just going to do stripes. And I'm not worried if it's not perfectly straight, because I want some of that wonkiness in my design. This is actually, but now I'm thinking this is going to be way too thick. So I think I'm going to start over the other end, because I'm not going to fill up the whole page. So you can see that this stamp is far thinner than that line. So I'm going to do a different one. I'm going to go here and start over, and I'm going to try not to make it too wide. There we go. Okay, and so I'm just going to use different paint brushes for different colors, and I'm just going to go on to the olive color next. Let me do it right here. That might work well. Starting to get a little dried out, so I'm going to give it a little top off of water, and I'm just going to go right up next to the other line. A little bit of water, and then just come back in where I left off. I'm shaking because of the coffee I've had. That's what coffee does to me. Okay, so it's not perfect, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to move on to the next color. And where is my paintbrush? Right here. Now I'm going to do that really pretty aqua. So I want the real natural movement of the hand-drawn line. So the imperfections I'm gonna keep in there. I'm gonna probably try to eliminate some of the white. I'm actually gonna try to eliminate all of it. I don't want it to show through. Like on this design here, you can see a little tiny bit of the white, but I like how the colors are all connected. So I'm gonna go back in and make sure that I reconnect all of the colors where they're not lined up perfectly, and I'm gonna let it dry. And then I'm going to come back and stamp on top of it. So I will see you when I'm ready to stamp. Okay, so I painted these lines. I've gotten them pretty squared away. They still have that hand-painted look, I want that. I'm going to make sure that it stays in. I don't want to make them perfectly straight. So this is perfect. And I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to clean up my space, and you're going to see how my art table paper gets filled up really quickly. So let me move these paints out of the way. And this is a perfect example of what happens when I have all these paintbrushes that have paint on them, and I have white paper on my desk, and this is an easy one to figure out if you ask me. Okay, now I'm ready to stamp this design out, and I'm going to, like I said before, I'm going to somewhat follow this sample test run here. I am going to go for this mustardy color on top of this citrine chartreuse, and we'll see what happens. The first color I'm starting with is a pigment color called Lagoon Blue by Versacolor, and I'm going to make sure that the ink gets really well distributed on the stamp. But you know what I need to do is I need to think about which direction I'm going to stamp my lines. I don't think I'm going to stamp them like this. Well, like this. Maybe I will. That's kind of interesting. Or I could do an alternated pattern. Actually, I think I'm going to do more of an alternating pattern. I think that's going to be even more interesting. And let's see how this goes. So I'll just start. I might mess up the pattern as I go. It wouldn't be the first time. Okay, I like how that turned out, and I'm going to go and do it again over here. Stamping on gouache is really a unique experience, and depending on the ink and how it interacts with the gouache is always interesting to see. And it overlaps a little bit on the other color, and I kind of like that look. I do like that look. I think it looks organic. It looks natural. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this off a little bit. All right, so the next color I'm going to go to is, interestingly enough, it's called Golden Meadow, and this is the color of the ink. And it looks similar to this, but when I stamp it, they don't look anything alike. So I'm going to do that on this one. So let me see how I'm going to move this pattern. I think I'm just going to stagger it, right? I'm going to do a half drop. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to keep that stamp going in the same direction, which means the vertical lines are on top as opposed to being on the bottom. So they're going to be on top, but yet I'm going to half drop the design. I think that's more interesting. And I'm getting a little crooked here, so pay attention, Autumn. I still don't mind that, though. I still don't mind that overlap. I did that wrong. So I didn't press down all the way. This is not what you do if you're really trying to make a solid pattern, but I think I can get away with this. I'm gonna come back in. Since I'm gonna scan this in Photoshop, I could probably clean it up a little bit and make this part of it not look so messy. Yeah, I can fix that in Photoshop. Gotta pay attention. All right, you can see where I got a little bit of the blue ink on my ink pad. A couple of things you could do. You could leave it, you could gently rub it off on your paper, or take a little cloth or a nice soft paper towel and then just gently rub it, helping it fade into it a little bit. So you just want to keep your colors kind of pure, but you know, they do get contaminated sometimes, and that's okay. You know, as long as you keep them pretty much clean. Okay, so the next one is going to be this Rainforest color by VersaFine Clair. And make my stamp going in the right direction. And I'm going to stamp on the olive green. And again, I know I've got a little ink on my fingers, and since I'm not using a mount with this stamp because it's thick enough, it's been carved on Speedy Cut by Speedball, and it allows you to hold it with your fingers pretty well, but I'm just going to be really conscientious of making sure I don't have ink on my fingers. And my design's going in the right direction. I'm going to do another half drop, and I'm going to stamp on the olive. I like the real bold look of this ink here. I think it adds some real grounding to this design. And I don't know, I didn't leave a whole lot of room on the gray here, but we'll see how that turns out. It's okay if it's not perfect. All right, the last color I'm going to stamp is this Oasis Green, the VersaFine Clair, and I'm going to have to squeeze it in here, especially on this one, because I did not leave a lot of room for the stamped image. But that's okay. It's going to look fine. Yeah, maybe not. I may have to redo this. This might drive me crazy. It's a little snug. But we'll see. I might see, I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing here because I'm so focused on the unevenness here. See if I can give that a little touch up there. That worked. I might fix this in Photoshop. This might be a little too much of an overlap for me, but I do like the organic feel of it, and I do like how it shows the stamped pattern happening. So as you can see, I've got some ink here. I can take care of that in Photoshop as well. Yeah, I got a big inequity going on here, and that might work. Again, I may be able to fix that in Photoshop. I'm trying not to overwork it, but yet I don't want it to be really obnoxious in the way that the pattern turned out. So I'm going to put this in Photoshop. I'm going to let it dry first, then I'm going to put it in Photoshop and see what I come up with. Should be interesting. Really strong, really bold. Once it dries, I'm gonna come back in with a Posca pen maybe and give it some attention so it doesn't look so rough. But I think I'm gonna add a big red flower. Take this stamp here. I have a piece of paper here to guard the other uneven pages in my book. So sometimes I pay attention to small details like that, but not always. All right, so I gave it a good shot of heat with my heat tool to dry off all the inks so that I wouldn't smear anything. And I think I'm gonna put a little blue bird here, a little blue chickadee, but I'm gonna collage it. I'm gonna stamp it on this marker paper so that it will get a nice crisp image. Then I'm gonna cut it out and collage it on. I don't know why, that's what I'm feeling inclined to do. Yikes. Take a clean piece of paper and I'll rub it on here to make sure that it's really nice and secure. And then I'm going to come back over it to make sure any glue that's on top gets taken away, and it seemed to go away. Okay, not bad. So I'm going to add some detail to the house, maybe some detail to the bird, and a little bit of detail background, maybe just a very little bit, and then I'm going to be done with it because I kind of like where it is right now. Okay, so I have this off-white beige Posca pen that I'm going to fill in. I thought about using a bright color, but I kind of want to keep it less loud, I guess. So I'm just going to kind of add some accents along the lines of the stamp. that's it for today. I am going to get busy trying to edit this. I'm going to do my best to do it well, quickly, and thoroughly. There's a lot of different pieces here. I know that it's going to take me some time, but I'm ready for the challenge. I'm ready to jump in. But I know moving forward, I have to really condense my vlog content because it just gets too much. And I keep thinking, oh, I could add this, or I could add this, or I should tell them about this. And here I am with an hour-long video that just is impossible for a newbie like me to edit. So I'm going to jump into the challenge of this one. It is going to be long, but I'm going to reframe the way I go forward and think and film and look at future vlogs. I don't know. It should be interesting, but I'm going to keep going because I do love doing it, and that's my commitment. I may not be going fast, but I'm going to keep going. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. This is YouTube. You know what to do if you want to see more of my videos, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.